Welcome to the Education Marketing Leader podcast with Chris Raposo. If you're looking to dive into the latest industry insights, draw inspiration from education success stories, or just want to sharpen your marketing skills, you're in the right place. Here, we bring you a diverse range of voices from experts and leaders in the field, offering you a unique blend of professional development and practical strategies. Whether you want to understand your audience better, stay updated with the latest tech trends in marketing, or expand your professional network, we've got you covered. So while you're driving on your morning commute or winding down after a busy day, let's explore the dynamic world of education marketing together.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Education Marketing Leader with Chris Raposo. Today, my guest is joining me from Northeastern Illinois University. His name is Ryan Trout, and he is the Director of Admissions at the school. I'm following up with him on an article that he wrote back in 2020. It's the 3 ways relationship building helps admissions team excel. And we're going to dive into this episode today. So, Ryan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for the invitation. Really excited to be here.
Awesome. So from 2020 to 2025, a lot has changed. Back in 2020, when you wrote your Staymates article, none of us could have predicted how much the world would change with COVID and now AI. Looking back, what stands out most to you about how admissions has evolved since then?
Yeah, my personal life is, in 2020, I was working for one institution. Now I work for another institution. So I've lived through some of the changes, but I would say from my perspective, I went from a private religious institution now to a public university. So I'm not sure if what I'm seeing is industry. I think it is industry wide, but I've seen colleges become more competitive with each other. It's no longer a case of test optional or, whatever. Everybody's test optional unless you want to take it even further and be test blind, like the University of California system. So that's a big change. Discount rates, I think, have been climbing at private universities. I've seen mergers and closures, multiple every week that I'm on LinkedIn. I see more of that than what was happening prior to 2020. I've seen colleges be more accessible to students. So whether they're pursuing diversity goals or they're desperate for headcount or whatever their economic engine is, I've seen a little more open access to students in that competitive of a way. From the student perspective, and again, this might be the private to public shift, but I feel like the students are far less prepared. So it seems to me like ACT, SAT scores are going down. It seems to me like I would venture to guess 95% or higher of our incoming freshmen need to take remedial math or remedial English. They're not ready for college by the time they're graduating high school. I guess colleges have this history of treating students like adults. Hey, you need to do this. And if you can't do it, you shouldn't be in college, kind of a thing. And there's a privileged position of the status quo in higher education with a lot of old dogs, and we're not easily adapting. And so we treat students like adults when the high school counselors have not been treating, I'm not saying across the board, but a lot of high school counselors say, this is your class. This is what you need to take. You need to show up here, you need to do this, you need to do this. Whereas colleges have not yet fully embraced that. A lot of colleges, including my own, are still saying, I sent you an email 6 months ago. You already have the instructions. Why can't you figure it out? Yeah. That's, quite frankly, we're falling short because the students are less prepared. Yeah. We're not meeting the high schools and some community colleges halfway. There's from a student perspective, I've noticed I've actually gone back to grad school recently. So from a student perspective, I can tell you that there's a lot more online, which I'm not a good online learner. And I think there are not a lot of good online learners because we all experienced a couple of years of online learning 4 or 5 years ago. Most young people, I think, are not great online learners, but they take advantage of it. They take advantage of the AI tools. There's less thinking required. My very first grad school course in 14 years, the professor put us, it's an in-person class, but we're on Zoom. In the in-person class, our professor puts people together in pairs and says, here, figure out this problem. And it was a marketing class. And I'm thinking this through, and I'm like, hey, I think this is, we're calculating percentages of target segments, and I come up with a number, and I ask my partner, who's a high school teacher in the class, he's like, oh, I already asked ChatGPT. The answer is this. I'm like, oh my God. Well, that's different than what I got. Well, how did you get it? He's like, I don't know. That's just what ChatGPT says. And I'm thinking, well, that's okay. I've been out of the game for 14 years, but that's not how I do it anymore. So I know I've got students working for me. I'm pretty close to students. I can tell you that students are not required to think as much as maybe they did before AI entered the classroom. And profs are using AI as well, I've noticed, to create syllabi or to, read discussion threads and online, summarize things. So it's not all negative, but
No, it's not, but
the answer is kind of negative.
I mean, I saw some recently about somebody called it brain rot on LinkedIn.
Oh yeah.
Because you stop thinking, man. It's like, oh, this is dangerous. I mean, I went to journalism school, and I'm so glad I didn't have ChatGPT at that time, because I would have taken full advantage of it, and it would have just been a disaster. I would have walked out with a degree, but no skill, really.
It sounds like it's gotten a lot worse, but really it's just different. I don't think it's bad or worse. I think the tools are different than we have now.
Yeah.
Than we used to have. And I think that the professionals and the institutions that are not adapting are rotting right now.
Right. And the same with the professionals, like you said, like you have to adjust, because when the printing press came out, things changed. When the manufacturing came out, industry, things changed.
Yeah,
you just have to.
It's not going away.
No, it's not going to go away. It's going to make our lives easier. But I always say, some jobs will be replaced, but your job won't be replaced by AI. You will be replaced by the person who knows how to utilize AI.
That's right.
Properly.
That's right.
Yeah. But good stuff. Let's go back into the next question. So because this is all about relationship building post-pandemic, the pandemic completely reshaped how institutions connect with students and families now. More online campus visits went viral, communication styles shifted, expectations changed. How has that experience influenced the way you and your team approach relationship building today?
Yes, it's actually, the first place my mind goes to is brain rot, because trying to recruit students during the pandemic, I can tell that the students just got so tired of being bombarded with messages that were impersonal and virtual. I mean, still to this day, anytime a college fair, I get several messages every day. Hey, come to this, participate in this. And if it's online, if it's virtual, I immediately say no, just because I feel like the students would prefer to have a human interaction. And I feel like I'm competing for someone's attention if it's virtual. My show rate on virtual events is terrible. Participation, the engagement during those kind of events is terrible. So I think that we've run that course as well. So big picture, let me be a little more positive here. Big picture, I look at the couple of years from the second half of 2020 through 2021 as a great A/B test. And it's forced us to try something different. In my experience, it didn't really work. We had to do it, but in general, big picture, it didn't work well enough that it has taken priority over the old-fashioned way of doing relationship building, which is often in person, face-to-face. It could be face-to-face online. I get it, but it doesn't. So I think it showed us what doesn't work largely. So it's given me the data, or at least the anecdotal data, if that's a thing, to sort of double down on this relationship building in person, creating experiences. So I've got a couple quick stories. I'm not going to take as long as the first question, but a couple quick stories that come to mind. So I'm at Northeastern Illinois University now, and I got there in January 2022, which was just the right place at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
We were ready to come out of the pandemic. The school had been online for almost 2 years at this point, and then I come in and I'm on fire we just undid everything. I mean, my first week on the job, hey, high school counselors tell me, we don't talk to them. Oh, what's your territory? We don't have territories. How many phone calls you make? We don't make phone calls. I'm like, okay, we are now. What's your campus visit experience like? Oh, we do 1 tour a week, and it's after the end of the workday. I'm like, that's awful. Like, it's okay. So we redid it. I mean, I got so energized to like, okay, we're going to do everything the right way. So it took, I would say, by a year and a half later, there was a retiring employee who interviews students on their way into the campus for, part of the housing thing. And she was retiring. And on her last day of work, I said, hey, night, it was so nice to work with you. And she said, Ryan, I want to tell you something. I said, please. She said, in all my years of doing this, I don't know, 15, 20 years there, in all my years of doing this, I've always heard the same answers every time when I said, why do you want to come to Northeastern Illinois University?
Mm-hmm.
Why us? You had a lot of options. And she said, for all my years, I always heard it was the closest one to my house. It was the cheapest. It was, it was easy. It was convenient. It was the only school I got admitted to. It was a lot of our features that we didn't influence.
Mm-hmm.
But she said, this year something changed, Ryan. So tell me what. She said, almost every student I talked to, said at least 3 out of 4, maybe 4 out of 5 students I talked to said, I had a great experience. When I talked to blank, I felt blank. Or when I visited campus, I experienced this and I just fell in love with the place. I said, yes, that was the greatest validation, because we had sort of started to do that again. We could not have done that really well in 2020 and 2021. So I get in, I've got all the energy in the world, and we create great experiences, and it shows in the enrollment. And it's not just, it's there because my mom says I have to be there. It's there. I'm there because I want to be there. And that helps. That's good for the campus. That's good for retention. That's good for everything. So one more super quick story, then we'll move on. I just experienced something yesterday. So we had not done, a lot of campuses have something like a preview day where a big group of students comes on campus and you have like a little day in the life of a student kind of thing. We had not done those in many years. I don't know how many years. So I said, let's get back to that. Let's do that again. And the first preview day we did, it was just like the first time doing anything. Can we do this? How do we do this? Is it working? I think we had about 15 students there. This was in 2022, the fall of 2022. Yeah, we had like 15 students show up. Last week, we sent out invitations to counselors, high school counselors, to say, these are our fall events, our fall preview day events. Let me know if you're interested and how many students you might want to bring. So I'm not even inviting the students anymore. I'm inviting high schools and their counselors. And in less than 24 hours, every single one of our fall events has been booked and is over capacity. We are now contacting schools saying, I'm sorry, you can't bring as many students as you want to bring. So in just 2.5 years, we went from, I would pay people to come to these to we are sold out. And we have other events that nobody's interested in, but the experience of the preview day, meeting professors, having lunch in the cafeteria, interacting with other students, that is the only difference between this event and our other events, which we can invite students to and they're not interested in coming. We offer a really great experience. We want to be hospitable, and we do that. I think we do it really well. I've gone to my directors, my fellow directors of admissions at the other public schools, and I say, hey, when you do something like a preview day, how do you organize your how do you get people in front of professors in a really in a way that makes everybody happy? The unanimous response was, oh, we don't do that. It's too hard to do that. And I'm like, well, we do it. We're just trying to get better at it. And for all I know, we might still be the only ones doing it, but we offer a really great experience.
Hey everybody, thanks so much for tuning into the episode today. I hope you're enjoying it so far. This episode is brought to you by StayMates, a full-service marketing agency servicing colleges and universities throughout the country. For more than 40 years, StayMates has helped higher ed institutions strengthen their brands, launch digital campaigns, and drive measurable enrollment growth. From audience research and content strategy to digital design and accessibility, StayMates brings deep expertise and a practical, results-driven approach to every engagement. Looking for a partner who really gets higher education? Learn more at staymates.com. Again, this is staymates.com for more information. And now, back to the episode.
Why do you think that is so difficult for them? Are they afraid to ask, or is it a cultural thing where we've always done it this way and we're not going to change it to get the professor?
No, I think right. I'm going to give everybody the benefit of the doubt and say I had the unique opportunity of being able to start over, of going from nothing to something, and creating a program the way I wanted to create it. We tried a ton of things that didn't work. We tried to let students choose the kind of classes they wanted to attend. And it was a logistical nightmare to try to line up those professors and the classes and who has room. And, oh, no, this class is having a pop quiz this day. That's not a good day for a visitor to come. So we started to do mock classes. And then the mock classes, we gave people options. And that was hard to find 8 faculty members to give a fake class. And sometimes you get a faculty member who's unengaged or uninteresting, or they show up to the wrong room, or somebody can't attend and somebody else comes in place. They don't know what they're doing. So then we went from 8 options down to like 3 or 4 options. And we let the school, when we have counselors bringing groups of students, great, what kind of do you want to do more of a business thing, more of an education thing? And they all chose business. So I'm like, okay, well, you're going to go to education. Well, that's not what we wanted. And then it's a bad experience. And now we just stop asking. So we've gotten to the place where we're offering academic options. And we just say, listen, we want you to have an academic experience today. We don't expect you to learn something that's in your area of interest. We just want you to see what our professors are like and how our classes function. You can see the size of our classrooms. Most of them have less than 25 desks, and that we want you to experience that kind. So we sort of changed the goal of it. Instead of we want you to learn something of value today, it was we want to expose you to our cool professors and how is college different. You'll be on a first name basis with your professors, which is not like high school. You'll be at a table and not at a desk, and they don't take attendance in every class. And we want you to experience what a college class is like, not necessarily a course in the academic area that you're interested in majoring in. So when we reduced the number of options, it became a much better experience. And I don't know if other schools, to get back to your question, I don't know if other universities are willing to do that kind of testing. Because they've got 500 or 1,000 students coming, and geez, are we willing to disrupt the flow here? And I'm willing to try new things.
Yeah, it seems like that you, during your time there, you were able to revitalize the brand of your institution, because when you said that the person who retired, the answer as to why people chose your university was always benefits or features, but now it switched over to how you made them feel, and that's what a brand is all about, right? It's not about benefits and features. It's how I feel about a certain thing. The most beautiful place and most magical place in the world is Disney, for example, right? It's that feeling you get, and why it draws people there by the millions each year. So with this great thing. And the other thing that you said when you walked in there and you were able to move things around and super energized, because you asked them, how many calls do you make? How many emails do you make? What's your outreach strategy? And there wasn't really much there. and you may appreciate that coming from a religious institution, that you had fertile ground and the harvest was plentiful, but the workers were few, right? So you could go in there and you make it happen. You did make it happen, and it sprouted from there. So,
Yeah.
well
We're
done.
still we're still making good changes too.
Yep.
No, we're not done yet.
Yes, absolutely. As always, more room to grow for sure. But yeah, love that so far. Let's talk AI a little bit, because
Please.
AI wasn't even part of the conversation when your article came out initially in 2020. Now it's everywhere, from chatbots to predictive analysis. How do you see AI helping or possibly hindering the genuine human connection that's so critical in admissions today?
Oh gosh, AI is, I've heard it be described as a double-edged sword. And there are pros and cons. There are dangers and there are safeties to it. And I sort of want to just comment briefly on each. One of the dangers of AI in admissions is something I'm going through right now, which is this took me a lot of time, but I was very much in favor. Okay, so I got to go back. My first introduction to AI was a program called a white label program called Pounce. I didn't even call it AI at the time, but it was a, I think I called it I think Georgia Southern University is the one that implemented that at least 10 years ago. And that was super cutting edge. And I think I called it like an intelligent auto text responder or something. I didn't have a good way to describe it, but I liked that it had, hundreds or thousands of different responses. Wow, I don't even understand how this works, but I heard about it, and I've always been fascinated with AI. So just a couple of years ago, I led the charge in getting us from a 100% manual chatbot tool. And I mean chatbot, but I mean manual in that it does not think for itself. It requires a human at the institution, that was me, to program it and say, when somebody says this, say this. And I just had to plug in 1,000 different questions and 10,000 different answers. And I didn't fully explore that, but for what we were paying, I wasn't super pleased with that experience. And I found out that an AI chatbot would be about 25% of the cost. I should say a quarter of the cost. So it's like, that sounds like it would be better for me, like faster, better, cheaper. Can it possibly be? So we went with a program, a company that, has generative AI. We went with them, and I had to test this in front of 20 or 25 different people before they would say, okay, let's try it. And it was impeccable. The AI responses were better than the responses I had written. So much so you could say, who is the college president? And it would give the previous president, the dates of service, the new president. It got into, this person began their interim presidency. I mean, it got super, I was like, it was incredibly impressive. What are the hours of admissions? Oh, the hours of undergrad admissions are this. The hours of grad admissions are that. Like, it was super thorough. So we agreed to move forward with this product. And at the same time, our marketing team decided to redo the website, or they were working on that. And when it came time to put the AI code on the website, they said, oh, we're going to wait for the new website to go live before we do that. So we did. We waited and then we put the chatbot on the new website, and every single answer broke. And I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. And now I feel like my neck is hanging out there because I fought for this thing, and people are using it, and it's giving them it's giving them like the opposite of a good answer. Like, I would rather the chatbot say, I don't know. It was giving bad information. I'm like, oh my goodness. I took it off, and we're still paying for it, but we're still trying to figure that out. So that's a very dangerous art of AI. Sort of requires monitoring. It could be faster, better, cheaper, but it's volatile. I don't know. Okay, so there's a good side to AI as well, which I see coming. And this is the good in pounds that I saw 10 years ago.
Mhm.
And it's what we're aspiring to do. We're not there in 2025, but what we're aspiring toward is not just a tool that will search the website for the right answer, but a personalized assistant. And I think that's where we're hoping to end up in a year or two, which is a student can interact with a chatbot on the website or a text message thread and say, do you have my transcripts? And the chatbot will be connected to our SIS or our CRM and be able to detect that. So we're in the shallow end of that pool right now with developing customized checklists and personalized checklists and things like that. But our hope is that that's where we'll end up in a couple of years. We have been invited to be a pilot or a beta tester. We're not interested in being, paying a lot of money to be a beta tester on that.
Mhm.
I will make one last comment here. I guess I'm still very hopeful. I know that AI is staying around, and I'm very hopeful that it will improve. And it's not that the AI needs to improve; it's that we need to improve the information that we're putting into it. But there's some conversation about AI recruiters.
Mm-hmm.
I had never used or purchased an AI recruiter. I know several people who have. They're unhappy with it.
Okay.
And I think that I don't want to discourage anybody from using AI recruiter, but I do want to say, like, what is your goal here? If your goal is to replace a human being with this tool, it's not going to work. But if your goal is, can we, I've got over 10,000 admitted students in my CRM. Can it help me find the 1,000 who are more likely to enroll? Probably. I think it could be useful for that tool. The cost of an AI recruiter is typically the cost of 4 full-time staff people at this point. So for that reason, we haven't gotten into it. It's not like the chatbot. So just since we're talking about AI, I've not gotten on the AI recruiter bandwagon yet. And I've never heard anybody say, we did that and we're really glad we did that. I've heard a lot of people say, we thought it was going to help us with this, but it's just a computer program.
Right. Yeah, especially if it's the cost of 4 full-time employees and people are not happy with it yet.
I would say like the cost of 4 like associate directors, not even like 4 recruiters.
Sure. I mean, oh my goodness. Yeah, you probably want to hang around a little bit and wait till this improves and the price comes down if competition is, more.
We get flat screen TV, maybe 5 years.
Exactly. It's land is playing here. Since stepping into your role, what's one specific initiative or approach that's helped you and your team strengthen trust and relationships with prospects and their parents? Are there any good stories you have to share?
I'm going to give you 2 answers. One will be short. One I'll give you a little bit more info on. And I just want to say, around the same time I came into the university, we also brought on a new CRM, which is the one that I am familiar with. It's Slate, in case you're wondering. And so my first month on the job, it's our first month with Slate. I was not part of the decision-making process or implementation process, but I'm very glad that it happened. And in fact, maybe one reason why I got the job is because I was a Slate captain at my previous school. But we 3.5 years later, 4 years later, we're still working on our communication plans. So that is a big piece of this. Is building relationships requires a thoughtful communication plan with both students and parents. We're much better than we were I would say we get a little bit better every year. I'm pretty happy with where we're at now, but we intend on doing a lot more with. Okay, so we got the email set up. Now we're going to do some text messages. We've gotten some data from parents saying they want to be included in the process. And we just recently added a feature of CRM where students can change the parent contact info so that we're not communicating to parents that students don't want us to communicate. Like we're always improving, but that's sort of my short answer. My slightly longer answer would be, I've left the prospect relationships to my recruiters. And I'm trying to be a matchmaker in creating as many opportunities for our recruiters to interact with prospects, including giving them gift cards to our coffee shop to say, hey, buy them a cup of coffee and buy one for yourself, and have a little coffee date to get to know each other. Like, I'm sort of forcing that relationship, but I'm leaving that relationship to the students, and I'm focusing more on sort of a counselor level relationship. One thing that's different between a public and a private that I've noticed is we would have at a private school, we would have a few, especially a smaller private school, we'd only have a few raving fan counselors in our neck of the woods, and we're spread all over the country. In working for a public school, every high school within a 10-mile radius has a pre-existing relationship with my university. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. And I've tried to work on both of those. Grow the good relationships and try to change the bad relationships. And it is taking a large personal effort on my part, such as me getting in my car and driving and seeing someone face to face, showing them that they're worth my time. It could be someone says, hey, I had a really bad interaction with your previous person. And then I sort of have to give them, in our office, we call it the Ryan Trout treatment. So sometimes there's a difficult student or parent or counselor, and people will come to me and say, hey, Ryan, I know you're busy right now, whatever, but this person needs the Ryan Trout treatment. And that is me rolling out the imaginary red carpet and just saying, hey, you are a VIP to me, to us, and what can I do to make this better? And, you know, a counselor at our top feeder school reached out to me personally and said, I had a really bad experience when our group came to campus. And I explored that and I followed up and I said, you know what, we're going to make that right. It's not going to happen again. I want to make it right with you, but I also want you to know that we're changing some things to make it better so that that doesn't happen again. And we did. We made some really big changes based on that feedback. So there's, my first year was almost an apology tour. Like, hey, you know what? We're not going to say no to your college fair invitation.
Yeah.
If you want to come visit us, I don't know if every school can do this, but I actually set aside some budget to like pay for the school bus if that was a barrier, or if the school would rather, hey, why don't we have a group of your students come here and we'll feed them lunch and we'll give them, we weren't giving away t-shirts on campus tour visits and things like that. I'm like, in order to provide good customer service, you have to exceed someone's expectations. Yeah. In order to provide good hospitality, you have to give them that warm, fuzzy feeling. And I wanted to do both. How can we do better than you think we're going to do? And how can I make you leave here or leave this interaction feeling like, oh, okay, all right. Okay, maybe we have something here. And I think it took a whole year of that. One of my questions I asked my staff in the first week on the job was, show me your list of counselors. I want to see the counselor database so that I can start sending, you know, hey, let's grab coffee or whatever. And I found out that we had 24 counselors in our database. Wow. Counselor impact on 24 contact information for 24 counselors. Whereas there are probably 2,500 in the state of Illinois. Mm-hmm. So just in Illinois. So we public focus more on in-state than out-of-state. So that I'm like, okay, let me just focus on Illinois for a minute. So spent a little bit of money. I purchased some data, but more importantly, I sort of rented the data. That's how these things work out. So that was the fuel on the fire, the catalyst, if you will, to start a counselor relationship. And now I have some of my student workers, when there's downtime during the summer, or, you know, once, twice a year, they go through our entire list of counselor contacts. They validate all the contacts. They go to the website. They ask. So now we're managing that database on our own. Just last week, in our database, I created a new mailing, which we had not been doing before, that will send, there's no FERPA violations here, but it's sending an auto email. CRMs are great. It sends an auto email every month to every counselor in our database, segmented by school, say, these are the students from your school that have applied and are admitted and have said they want to come. These are the students that admitted, but we're waiting on an answer for. These are the students who have applied, but we're waiting on transcripts. Could you provide them to us? These are the students who are not eligible for admission, but they could be admitted if they had a recommendation letter or they submit some more information or appeal their decision or whatever. And then at the bottom, these are a list of staff people that we have in our database from your school. Would you reply and let us know if we need to remove anybody or add anybody? And that email goes to everybody in our database once more. We just set that up last week. I'm super excited about it because that's going to improve the way that we can do relationships with counselors. They want to help their students. They want to help us help them. They want to make sure that we're not spinning our tires. And not everybody cares to get that. I'm guessing we're going to remove some contacts from our database pretty soon here, but that's fine. We're going to be able to focus on the ones that really care, really do want that. So you kind of asked about relationships with prospects and parents. I'm going to leave that to the recruiters. I'm going to take over the counselor relationships as much as possible. And I think that's one reason why a lot of our events are now sold out, because the counselors, they want to bring, I had one school say, I want to bring 300 kids to your event that holds 400 people. I'm like, we say yes. We say, okay, it's going to be your special day here. And they felt even better when I said that.
Nice.
But that's the truth.
Yeah. Personalization for the win, but even more. I mean, you're offering almost concierge service.
Absolutely.
And that's what makes the difference.
I've been telling my recruiters once a month, I need you to download a list of students from the school, send them to the counselors. What I'm finding is my recruiters are not necessarily reliable because so many things, it's not they're not reliable. They have so many things to worry about. Sometimes that slips through the cracks.
Right.
Or they're more likely to make a FERPA mistake if they just download a list of Excel and email is not secure. And if the social security number's on there, then I'm at risk. So we found an even better way to do it. And, oh, by the way, there's slate.org. So there's a link to that in the counselor email now. It says you can actually view this information anytime you want. I'm going to continue to push this out once a month in case you don't like to click on things. But you can see this 24/7, 365 if you click this link. So, yeah, all the tools are in place. Again, right place, right time. All the tools are in place. We can really grow these relationships at a macro level and at a micro level.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, last question here. So we've been talking about updating the recent article you wrote in 2020, 3 ways relationship building helps admissions teams excel. And it was 1, communicate value, 2, the decision-making process, and 3, create impactful conversations. Now, if you were to rewrite your 2020 piece for today's world, what advice would you give admissions leaders navigating this mix of post-COVID realities, demographic shifts, and AI-driven AI tools?
Yeah, I don't know if the 3 ways would change. I think those are still true. However, I would have to give a nod to what we've learned in the last 5 years industry-wide. And one thing that COVID taught us, this is true with any industry, but including higher education, is the organizations that have their act together rose to the surface. Now, the truths about the systems rose to the surface. Organizations that were well equipped to serve excelled. I'm thinking organizations like Amazon, like their company took off because they were ready for the pandemic. They had some of their systemic issues worked out before the pandemic came upon us. There are a lot of institutions, higher ed institutions, that excelled during the pandemic because they already had all their communications in place and they weren't relying only on one type of student, or they had a wait list going, or they had a really strong brand value or whatever. But in 2020, I was at an institution that was not ready for the pandemic. And just like some small mom and pop shops went out of business during COVID, my institution ended up going out of business. After I left and after COVID, they tried to float it. Our enrollment grew during COVID. Let me be clear about that. We're one of the small numbers of institutions that grew during, I think less than 10% of all colleges grew. We grew during COVID, but we were not well equipped for all of the challenges. They ended up eliminating a lot of positions, including my own. And 3 months later, the doors are closed.
Wow.
So it was not good decision making there. I do want to say the systems, the processes must be fixed. If it doesn't matter if it's a pandemic or not a pandemic, with the pandemic, it brought everything to the surface and we had to deal with it if we're ready or if we're not. If the system and the processes are fixed, it will help enrollment. It'll help retention. It'll help with expectations. It'll make for a much better cycle. I am pursuing a lot of those. Still, I'm practicing what I'm preaching here. Every day I spend time trying to fix a major problem that takes time and many people to fix, but I'm not letting go of that. I've got a meeting later this morning on, hey, we've been talking about doing this thing for over 6 months. It's time to put up. We need to say this about ourselves. It's true. Oh, that's putting ourselves out there a little too much. I know, but that's what success looks like. So I'd be happy to get into, I don't want to take too much time. I could get into a lot of stories about that, but lean into your strengths. Don't be someone that you're not. A lot of schools say, oh, we want to be more like blank. Well, you're not like them. I mean, maybe in some ways, but be different. Be the best at something. Be the only ones that do something. That makes your job easier if you can say we're the only ones that do something or we're the best and you can back that up.
That's right.
When it comes to AI and staff, I know I've mentioned earlier, I'm big into training. I'm interested in AI. I would just caution every admission leader out there, recruitment leader, to ask themselves, are the inputs correct? AI will not work if the inputs are not correct. Your staff training will not work if your inputs are not correct, right? I could not have asked my staff to do their job had I not given them the territory. Now, most people have already done this, but when I found out they don't know how to use the phones, they don't know how to do a territory, they don't have counselors in their database, I knew, okay, we're building something from the ground up here. It's going to take a little bit more time, but we're going to do it the right way. And now I've got good staff. I've got well-trained staff. They know what to do. I don't need to micromanage them. We do a little bit of training here and there. I have a weekly meeting. I do a summer retreat. We do that kind of thing. But I actually had one staff person leave me to go to another school. And after maybe a month, they called me back and said, I made a terrible mistake. I don't have what I need here to succeed. I don't have a great relationship with my boss. And can I come back? And we had not filled the position yet. So in that instance, it worked for that person to come back. I wanted them back as well. So I would say make sure that you're making deposits into your AI and make deposits into your staff. That will pay off in the long run. Take care of your people first, take care of your customers second, and your system is more likely to thrive.
Yeah, make deposits into the emotional bank accounts of your staff, because when the time comes to withdraw something,
that does happen.
It does happen. What you said earlier was really on point too. Be the best at what you do. Since you're calling me from the land of Lincoln, when Lincoln said, "Whoever you are or whatever you are, be a good one." So thanks, Ryan, for this super insightful episode. Thanks for being a part of the Education Marketing Leader podcast. How can people get in touch with you after this episode and tell us a little bit more about Northeastern Illinois University?
Awesome. I live and breathe this stuff, so I'd love to talk to anybody who would like to dive deeper on any of this. Northeastern Illinois University is the only public university in the north side of Chicago. I'm on LinkedIn. You can look me up, Ryan Trout, and look for Northeastern Illinois University. Also, my email, if you're interested in reaching out, is r-trout@neiu.edu. I'd really love to follow up.
Very good. I'll be sure to tag in the recap on LinkedIn. Ryan, thanks so much again, and you'll have a good day.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris.
And that's a wrap for this episode, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to Education Marketing Leader podcast this week. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to share it with your friends and your network. And if you ever thought about starting your own podcast, now that you listen to one and you got inspired, reach out to me via DM We'd love to help you launch your own. We'll take care of everything for you, the scripting, the strategy, the editing, distribution. All you have to do is show up, connect with your audience, and build your personal brand. So if you're ready for it, let's chat. And for everybody else, we'll see you next time at the Education Marketing Leader Podcast. Take care, friends.